One more minute.
Yeah. People tend to drop in right at the last minute or a few minutes late. But anyway, we'll get started on time.
Okay.
Okay, well, we've started the live stream already.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So, okay. So, hello everyone, and welcome, welcome to this Pathways Interactive Online Training event, a very special event, and we're going to start in 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. I see Emily. Emily is online
Huh?
too. Yeah.
Oh,
Carol also. Yeah.
excellent.
Well, you're a very popular figure in District 67, so.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. I try. I try. I know sometimes I don't always measure up, but I do the best that I can. I do the best that I can.
Oh.
For example, pathways. I am not the best pathways woman. I'm working on it. I am a work in progress.
Great, great. You're on your pathways journey. Okay, so now
Yes.
it's 8 o'clock exactly, and our Zoom master, Peter, can you go back to the first opening slide, please? Okay, so welcome everyone. This is the Pathways Online, Interactive Online Training, and tonight we have a very special event. We're going to interview our district champion, Diana Watson. Wow. Diana is in the house. And
Hey.
yeah, hi Diana. Thanks so much for coming. And coming
Thank you
on
for having me, Simone.
and tonight we're going to the title of our event tonight is the 5-in-1 contest winning speech skills. And we're going to learn about all this with Diana Watson. And okay. Actually, first thing before we're going to play the video. Want to play the video of Diana's winning Mandarin speech. And Peter, can you move to the second slide? Okay, and so tonight the event is about the interview, and we're going to use the elective project, level 3 elective project called Prepare for an Interview. So you can see from the slide that the purpose of this project is that the person being interviewed, in this case is Diana, is the purpose of the project is for the person being interviewed to practice the skills of being interviewed. So presenting yourself in an interview. And this project involves actually a 5 to 7 minute interview. But of course, for tonight, we're going to do an extended version. And you can either practice a job interview or an expert interview, something like that. And sorry, Peter, can you go back? And in this case tonight, it is the expert interview. And the interviewer should not be your evaluator. So you need to arrange somebody else in advance. And it's good to practice answering the interview questions in advance. And it's good for the speaker to ask the interviewer, to discuss with the interviewer the topic. And for the interviewer to provide questions to the speaker. So the aim is to get the best possible performance for the project. Okay. 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 Actually, I don't have the link for the video. Just one moment. Missed that. Okay. And let me see. Oops. Okay, next slide, Peter. And tonight our speaker is none other than Diana Watson. Everybody knows Diana, right? Diana is, of course, from America. Well, she's been in Taiwan for many years, and is the 2015 English International Speech Champion, a district champion. And then incredibly, she is the 2018 district champion for the Mandarin Chinese humorous speech. So the champion for the Mandarin speech. And if you've seen this speech, you'll know how fantastic it is, and you'll know why we're using that as the subject of our interview tonight. And also Diana is an accomplished author. See the picture of her book also behind Diana. You can see the Speaking Seed, okay? The Speaking Seed is a book. It's available in English and in Chinese, and about speech skills. Well worth getting this book and studying it, especially now, considering it is contest season, right? So, okay, and then next slide, please. Okay, all right. So thank you, Peter. Okay, so now just give me a moment. I would like to share the video. Okay, I'm going to share the video. Okay. Diana, could you perhaps spend a minute just talking about your experience in Taiwan since you won that famous speech?
Wow, it's been a journey. It's really been a journey. When I won that speech, I just thought it was just a contest. Honestly, I worked hard on it, of course, like I did for so many other speeches, but for some reason or another, that speech, it came together very well, very fast. And maybe that could have been because it was in Chinese and it wasn't in English. In English, for example, I remember many times when I practiced for the English speech, I would revise my script 50, 60, 70 something times. And with the Chinese speech, I would say it was definitely under 20. And I guess it was because I'm here in Taiwan and I had so many people that were able to give me such great tidbits and advice every time I practiced at a club, that my revision process and the ideas that they were able to give me, I was able to implement them so quickly because I had so much experience previously with my English competition skills, but also Mandarin is everyone's primary language here. Well, most people's primary language here, mother language. So I was able to get feedback and use it very effectively, very quickly. So the two, between my experience and it being in Mandarin, the combination of those two things married themselves very well. And I was able to just take off with my progress. So that's one thing. So when I completed the contest, I said, okay, great. That was cool. Like I won, yay. And as you remember, Simone, like I kept bugging you. I said, Simone, when are you going to upload my video? I want to see it. And people were asking me, I want to see it. I want to see it. And poor Simone was so busy with so many other things. And I said, okay, I'm going to stop bugging you, Simone. When she has time to upload it, she'll upload it. And it just kind of happened at the right time. I remember it was probably the second week of March, and I competed for the Mandarin contest again. and I bombed. Not a little bomb, like I really, really bombed. And I was so down. I wanted to cry. And then you uploaded my video, and all of a sudden I got so much praise from so many people so quickly. And within 2 weeks, it hit 1 million views. And I realized, I said, okay, Diana, it's amazing how you could feel so on top of the world at 1 second, and then you can be so down the next, and then you can go right back up again. And I try really hard now. The contest has taught me that one thing, everything's temporary. Mm-hmm. Everything is temporary. And when you do something amazing and people give you credit for it, you can't be hard on yourself when the next thing that you try doesn't work out. You need to hold that and keep that with you for the rest of your life, and appreciate that experience that you had, that the universe, that the creator gave you, and cherish it. Because I didn't, honestly, in the beginning. I didn't. And now looking back and seeing how my life has changed, I do. So I know the video's up now.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great opening for our interview. So, okay, so our Zoom Master Peter, are you ready to play the video?
你们觉得我很 I have to watch myself on video.
你们觉得我很奇怪吗？俗话说，见怪不怪，奇怪自败。如果你们觉得我很奇怪，那你们自己就太奇怪了。虽然我住在这里好几年了，但是对你们来讲，我还是外国人。回美国时，我父母却觉得我是台湾人，真的很奇怪呢。因为我是黑人，很多人问我很奇怪的问题，比如说，路上的妈常常问我：“你的头发是真的吗？”是真的，是自然卷吗？是自然卷的。我可以摸一下吗？可以。你一定省了很多烫头发的钱哦。阿嬷，你不知道，我其实花了很多钱把我的头发烫直的啦。我笑的时候，大家都马上看着我的牙齿。你的牙齿是真的吗？为什么你的牙齿那么白？我不知道，你可以问我爸妈。你用黑人牙膏吗？没有。我知道了，因为你的皮肤那么黑，所以你的牙齿看起来很白。夏天的时候，台湾的天气很热，所以我穿得很少。这里露出来，这里露出来，这里露一点点。卖菜的太太问我：“你不怕晒黑吗？”为什么我会怕？我已经是黑人了。哎呦！你们觉得我胖吗？不要回答的啦。在台湾，我的 size 是 XX 大；在美国，我的 size 是 XX 小。台湾的女生都很瘦，讨厌她们。但 但是他们还是给我一些减肥的方法。发现吃饭的时候用筷子慢慢吃就可以减肥，所以我买了很多筷子。吃披萨用筷子，吃汉堡用筷子，吃炸鸡也用筷子哦。2个月以后，我还是胖了5公斤。我生气问他们说为什么没效？他们说海鲜，我忘记教你，你每天只能吃1餐，而且只能吃一半。啊！台湾的女生很奇怪，吃东西吃一半，讲话也讲一半。最难是中文，讲的、读的、写的都很难。好久以前，我的中文很烂，我去加油站找人帮忙，因为我的摩托车有问题。先生，你可以放空气在我的阳台吗？他说哈。先生，看我的嘴巴跟我的手，你可以放空气在我的阳台吗？他摇摇头说，小姐，看我的嘴巴跟我的手，我听不懂，就走掉了。后来我跟我的中文老师说加油站的事，他说小姐，不是阳台，是轮胎，不是空气，是大气，空气在天空啦。哎呦，真是的。时间过得很快，我已经住在台湾12年多了。我的头发还是卷的，我的牙齿还是很白，我的皮肤还是很黑，我的 size 还是10-5，你猜？哦，对啊，谢谢。可是我的中文有没有变好？真的吗？谢谢哦，我会再加油。我知道我跟你们比起来很不一样，所以你们有可能觉得我很奇怪，但是我的心却是很台的。我很喜欢台湾的人情味和这一块土地，我很像是一个台湾的特产——烤地瓜，外皮黑黑的。里面却是黄色的。因为我讲中文，吃饭用筷子，骑摩托车到处跑，最重要的，我敢吃臭豆腐，可是还是很臭。我父母讲的对，我是台湾人。让我们大家欣赏每一个人不同的地方，好吗？好。你们还会不会觉得我很奇怪？不会。谢谢哦，记得哦，见怪不怪，奇怪自败。主持人。
Another round of applause for you, Diana. That was wonderful. Even though I've watched it so many times, I still really, truly, I do still enjoy it so much. And,
thank you.
Yeah, and you know what? Since you mentioned the 黑人牙膏, right? After you mentioned that, I actually went and bought some, and I've been using it ever since.
They should give me money for that. The marketing department should have given me a contract for that. I'm sure sales went up after that. Mm.
Yeah, I'm really sure because I knew about that brand, but I always thought it was a bit of a lower brand. but after hearing your speech, it kind of elevated it in my mind. So,
and looking at my teeth, I'm a free marketing person for 黑人牙膏.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so
I do want to, excuse me, Shamo, I just want to make a minor correction that I just remembered. My contest speech I won in November 2017. Can you believe it's been 3 years now?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2000,
yeah. Right. And you uploaded it March of 2018. So
yeah.
Time goes by so fast, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd like to ask you about, you use storytelling in your speech to illustrate your message, right? Your message is about appreciating the differences in people, right? And can you talk a little bit about how you use storytelling in your speech to illustrate your message?
Sure. I wanted to focus on the humorous aspects of storytelling first. One of the things that a lot of people do need to understand about comedy and about humor is that although it's really funny, underneath the core of the message is actually confusion, sometimes disappointment, sometimes pain. And you learn to shift your perspective into something that is awkward or humiliating or painful into something funny. So being a Black person living in Asia is, there's days where it can be very difficult, where you just don't want one more person to touch your hair, ask you about your hair, talk about your weight or your skin color or whatever. You just want to go on your day just like everybody else. And the whole purpose of the speech and talking about people's differences and everything was to help people understand that there's nothing wrong with being different. And as wonderful and unique as it is to be different, in the end, we all are. And we need to focus on what unites us rather than the things that make us different. And the things that do happen to make us different, they need to be celebrated. And I try to use that in my speech, where every single story was something that was actually embarrassing or painful or, confusing. And I switched it around to make it humorous. So humorous storytelling in particular is challenging. It's not easy. You have to open up yourself to sharing your stories in a way that maybe at that time was very painful, but then you shift your perspective and you share it with people, and it almost in many ways is therapeutic, and it provides a way for you to be able to just be at peace with who you are, with the place where you are in your life, and be at peace with the people that you surround yourself with that caused you to have those kinds of emotions and feelings in the first place. And after I did that speech, really, literally, I feel so much more at home with myself and feel so much more at home here in Taiwan than I even do when I go back home to the United States. So storytelling is humorous storytelling. There's so many different types of storytelling, right? Humorous storytelling, I think, is incredibly therapeutic, and would suggest it for anybody who finds that they're in a very challenging situation that they can't recover from, and to use that in their next speech. Challenge them to use it in the speech and to twist it into something that is comedic and share it with an audience and see how you feel afterwards. I would guarantee they'll feel so much better. They won't feel so alone or confused or humiliated anymore, like I did about my horrible Chinese speaking, or, really, that was a pretty bad day at the gas station. Like, it was just, I was so embarrassed.
Okay, so that really happened. Yes. At the petrol station.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say every single one of those stories really happened within the 12 and a half years of that point that I was there. It was exaggerated in some respects, but like the hair question, I get that minimum 4 times a week. Minimum.
Still.
Wow.
Wow. And your message is a very, very strong message, basically about accepting people's differences. And did you come up with that message first and then think back to, all trying to collect your humorous stories? Or how did the stories and your message come together? Which came first?
I always knew right away that I was going to do, for the humorous speech contest, I wanted to focus on being a Black woman in Taiwan. I knew that for months and months and months before I even wrote the script.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I had just came back from being with Emily in Vancouver because I was her coach for the international speech contest when she was in the semifinals in Vancouver. And I had just returned, and I had to be in that contest right after I came back. And I was really stressed out. And I remember writing the script, and the script was 10 pages long.
Wow.
I had so many crazy stories about being a Black woman in Taiwan. It was 10 pages long. Yeah, so I had to just choose the ones that everyone thought were the funniest, and then put them in the speech. And people have asked me, well, what about the rest of your script? Well, why don't you do another speech? Like people on YouTube who comment, do you have anything else? I would love to watch other things. And I said, that was a lot of work. I have to work. I have a regular job. I got other things going on. I'm sorry. Maybe I will one day, but at this point in time, I don't see myself competing, but maybe I'll do another speech, just little clips just to put on Instagram or something.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm sure everybody here, I'm sure I can represent everyone here to know that we want to have your encore speech for sure.
Okay.
And talking about, you're talking just now, you mentioned about choosing the ones that people felt were funnier. Like, what can you talk about the process you went through to test your stories? And did you test it in front of certain audiences, like your club members, or how did you figure out those were the best or the funniest stories to do?
Basically, I had a 10-page long script that was all written out in peeing. So only your closest friends would have the patience or tolerance to look through or listen to you share a 10-page script with so many grammatical errors and so many contextual errors and say, okay, listen, Diana, I like this story. I like this story. I like this story. So there might have been about maybe 3 or 4 Toastmaster friends that share with me that which stories they like the most. And I don't remember exactly now because it's been over 3 years, but I'm pretty sure they all like the same stories. So I said, okay, these are the stories that I'm going to focus on. And each story was like a vignette. It was just very short, very, like they helped me to condense it down because I was sharing way too many details about, what the gas station looked like, what the gentleman looked like, how his face was. And they really helped me just make it. They said for comedy, it's completely different. You have to make it short, sharp, sweet, and any extra details you use with your face, you use with your expressions. You don't have to say it. That's the beauty of comedy. The comedy, your face says everything. And I learned that. I had been working on my humor already for a long time because I was a very serious speaker for years. That was my thing. I always focused on serious speeches and I wanted to challenge myself to be funny. So in regards to the stories, I had my Toastmaster friends. It was about 3 of them. tell me which ones were the best ones. Then we chose those. They helped me condense it down so it would be really short, sweet, and fast. And that way, instead of me having 3 long-winded speeches, like we would have like in English where you think there should be 3s, they said, no, go for the 5, make them short and sharp, and that would be more effective. And I still cut it pretty close. Every time I practice, it was 6:30. Just to give you an idea, I was always coming around 6:30, and my speech time for that audience was 7:22. I just made it. So you have to be very careful if you're doing comedy. Anyone out there that's listening, it added almost an extra minute to my speech, and my pace was the same. It was just all the laughter, having to stop, and letting people laugh. That takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, that is a really, really, really important point. That I in the past, if I've ever given any advice about how long the timing should be, I've always said 6 minutes 30. Because you just never know what's going to happen, whether it's laughter or something else happens with you. And, it's just too dangerous even to go to 7 minutes. So I'm so glad you said that, because, it just makes sense, doesn't it? And especially if you're really going for something humorous, then you got to really have time for the audience to react. And which, of course, you did so well. And I want to also ask you, so you had your friends and yourself choose out the 5, perhaps the most humorous of your 10 stories. And how did you then begin to build in your body movements and your vocal variety? Did those things just come naturally? Like, are you a bit of an actress, or did you have to figure out how to do that?
What do you guys think? Do you think that I'm a natural actress? Like I'm naturally crazy?
I think definitely. I think you're naturally good at hamming it up. Am I right or not?
You are. Actually, I remember when I was in 4th grade, I was in a play called The Twits by Roald Dahl, and it showed on cable. My school district had it, like they played it on cable television, and so many people in the community watched it and loved it, and would see me in the supermarket and say, oh my goodness, you were really good. Were you Mrs. Twit? You were really funny. And I was I exaggerated everything, and I got my little bit of fame then. And I remember telling my father, I said, oh, I love this, Dad. I love acting. I want to be an actress. He said, no, you'll never get a job. You won't make any money. You'll starve. So I just knocked the idea out of the window. I said, okay, he's right. I don't want to starve. I won't be an actress then. So then I grew up and I started getting into languages and cultures, and I wanted to travel and live all over the world. And it's really funny how life comes together, because I kind of stumbled into teaching, which is something where you can be an actor in front of your students all day, every day, to keep them engaged and interested in your subject. And that's essentially what I do. Some days I exaggerate more than others, but for the most part, my students don't fall asleep when I'm teaching them. So I was able to marry all these things that I loved. My father feels bad now that he said that to me, but in many ways he was right, because I'm able to balance out my love of public speaking and acting and teaching and training and cultures and languages all into one. So, for any of you out there where you feel like you've got this talent that you didn't get a lot of support with when you were younger, don't give up on it. Sometimes just keep cultivating it and experimenting and finding different opportunities where you can really shine and be yourself, because this was initially so challenging for me to do a humorous speech. And then later, when I look at the videos now, even 3 years later, I say to myself, this is who I really am. I
Mm.
just never let it out for 40
Yeah.
something years. This is who I am. So
Okay.
yeah,
So, your voice seems to have become softer. Maybe with your movement, your sound has become a bit softer.
how am I now?
Yeah, it's not as loud as in the beginning. Maybe yeah.
Okay. How is it now? I've gotten softer? Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, I can
Okay.
still hear you. I can still hear you. It's just not as it was kind of quite a booming sound in the beginning. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be too loud. So how am I sounding now? Is my
Uh,
sound quality okay now?
I can hear you. I can hear you. So, okay.
Hear
So,
me?
yeah, I can hear you. No problem.
Okay. Okay.
And also I want to talk a bit. So basically for the body movements and vocal variety, you're not afraid to just try some things and exaggerate, and so for other members who maybe are not as outgoing, as you are, maybe they, some good advice for them might be, just don't be afraid, just let go and just experience the moment, perhaps,
The
and
the
just let go.
the best entertainers and actors in the in Hollywood throughout the world are introverts or
Mm-hmm.
shy people.
Right, right.
Michael
Yeah.
Jackson was one of the shyest people on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Everyone knew that. But when he got on the stage, he became someone else. Beyonce,
right,
she says she becomes Sasha Fierce. Like she's not herself. She
right.
turns into someone else before she gets on stage. And I do that. I have to before I get on stage. I'm extroverted, but I can also be more introverted and quiet, believe it or not, where I just want to like sit in the corner and not
Mm.
socialize or talk to anybody and just kind of be by myself at the same time. And I have to pump myself up and say, okay, I need to be the Diana that's on the stage, the charismatic Diana, where I'm like talking and chatting with everybody. And then the next second, I could be the person where I just don't want to see anybody and just be on my couch and be with my book. So you have to embrace the fact that there's different sides of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're introverted, it's an amazing opportunity for you to touch into that part of yourself that you know that you want to explore, but you're scared.
Yeah.
And just try it.
Yeah, try and just have some fun with it. Don't be too worried
Right.
about what people
Don't be
think,
too
because
worried.
by doing that, you might actually be entertaining your audience. So
Right.
that's good advice.
Right.
Also, connect with your audience. You really connected well, in my opinion, with the audience. Even how you asked questions of the audience, and you actually, in some cases it was a rhetorical question, but you made that really clear, and in other cases you actually tried to get a response from the audience, and you did get the response. So for everyone listening here tonight, watching here tonight, this is also a very good speech example for the project Connect with Your Audience. It's really textbook good example. So like I mentioned in the promotion, it's 5-in-1 skills. First one is effective body language, right? So effective, right? Like you say, with your body language, it can reduce the amount you need to actually speak, right? You show people and then connect with the audience. There's no doubt that people were with you all the way and through your story. So the third project is connect with storytelling, and certainly you do that. And then the fourth project, these are all pathways projects, understanding vocal variety. Well, I mean, again, another textbook example of a good speech to look at for understanding vocal variety. And then, of course, the fifth one, know your sense of humor. So you picked out the areas, in terms of your sense of humor, in terms of your experiences in Taiwan. So it's really great example. And now I want to go back to the vocal variety part, because in terms of a speaking skill, I know that I've had evaluators, tell me in the past that if I'm doing a conversation, or I'm talking about a conversation that I've had with someone in a speech, people always tell me, oh, you've got to like stand in a different position to show that you're a different person. I always feel that, I don't know, it's really hard, I think, to do that effectively, like not in an awkward way. And in your case, you didn't do that, but it was so obvious who you were talking about, when it was you and when it was like the petrol station boss, or the, you know, the old ladies want to touch your hair. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I did. Well, actually, for the old ladies touching my hair, I went up and down. So when it was an old lady and she was touching my hair, I bent down. And then when it was myself, I stood up straight. So it was so slight. Like if you were to look at it again, or you think about it, I was leaning down like I was a small grandma and she was touching my hair. And then when it was myself speaking, I was standing up and I was talking. So that was the shift. It doesn't have to be this turn side, side, side. And I had a coach helping me with that to make it look seamless, to make it look natural. So it wasn't like, okay, she's shifting, she's talking like somebody else. It just looked like it was the natural flow of the conversation. That does take skill. That does take practice.
How about
that is not easy.
How about with the petrol station guy?
The petrol station guy, I didn't need to, because I was using my hand gestures and facial expressions to shift who it was. So instead of doing this, you know, like a lot of people do, you know, I was talking and explaining to him, and then he was just like, huh? And then, you know, and he was mocking me as if to say, you know, you're using your fingers and I still can't get you, woman. Like, you still don't make any sense. So I didn't have to do much of a switch. Now the hey and yagao, I actually did go from side to side. I actually did with the hey and yagao. He was asking me, you know, this, why are your teeth so hard? And I switched. Oh, you know, 你可以问我爸妈 你用黑人牙膏吗? I actually did do that switch, but it didn't seem strange because I had practiced it so much. So yeah, I did do it, believe it or not. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, because so you really packed into this one speech like at least 3 different ways of doing the, you know, the conversation part, you know, like you said, the old lady, and then the petrol station guy, and then the Heiwen Ragao. So
and the Taiwanese women. And I did change my voice for the Taiwanese women.
Yeah, right.
That was the only time I changed my voice, because it was the only time we thought that it was necessary. If you do it for every instance, for every story, then it's overblown. Then it's too much. But I chose just the one time where it was most effective. And the most effective was with the Taiwanese women. And I didn't have to switch back and forth. I didn't do the switching. I just used a voice. So sometimes you can use the body language to change the dialogue. Other times you can use body language. Other times you can use your voice. It doesn't have to be both. It could be one or the other.
Yeah, I think mixing it up, using the different methods that you used, I think that really puts the variety in. And then, like for me as an audience member, I almost didn't even realize, you know. And now that you say it, I think, wow, that's just amazing. And like you say, you wanted to make it seamless and natural, and in my opinion, really was. And a lot of people, I mean, I've seen a lot of speeches where you know, maybe the person next to me saying, "Oh, overacting again." Not you, of course. I mean, but you know, watching so many contest speeches, right? And then it's not an uncommon comment to hear. Oh, it's a bit too overacted, you know. And I think in those cases is where, like you say, if you just overdo the voices and the movements, you know, then it will seem a bit yeah, like overacting. But you did it so naturally. It's really, yeah, amazing, amazing.
A YouTube person commented, they pointed out exactly what you said. They said, this is the first time I watched a speech like this where it was really overacted, but at the same time so natural. Is this really your personality? I get the feeling this is probably your real personality, so it's not overacted. I just got that comment about a week or two ago on my speech. So it's funny that you mentioned that. I think that's the reason why people they don't make that comment so much, because number one, it's humorous. So it's supposed to be exaggerated. So they welcome the overacting. And two, they're thinking, oh my goodness, she's really this crazy.
So you really bring that big personality in. So yeah. Okay, that's wonderful. It's amazing how time flies. And so now I need to share the time with you, with our audience. So does anybody have questions? Q&A time with Diana. Okay, so very quickly, have a question from Joseph. As a Mandarin champion speaker, did you recite all your scripts and rehearsing before you step to the stage? So yeah, did you memorize it all?
Like from the beginning or later?
I think because you are not a native Chinese speaker, yet you do your speech all in Chinese. So how did you go about doing that? You had to obviously memorize it, right?
Yeah, I had to memorize it. And to be honest with you, if we have a minute, I really like to share my journey, my contest speech journey, not afterwards, but the journey with my contest speech, just to encourage people. I was in 2 Mandarin clubs at the time. I was in Zhongxin Xinchun and Le Tao Tao. And the first contest speech was at Zhongxin Xinchun, and I didn't do that well. I tried to memorize it. I didn't have enough time. I didn't do that well. But only 4 people participated in the contest. 1 person went overtime. And I said, oh, cool. I'll place. I'll be like, 3rd place, because everyone else was Taiwanese. And they called the 3rd place winner, and it wasn't me. And I said, oh, wow. I was so happy. I got 2nd place. And then I went to Le Tao Tao, and I was in their contest, and I gave it again. And even though I still didn't have it really comfortably memorized, having that experience of doing it again and being in a contest again with the same speech, it started to flow better. And on my own, nobody that went overtime, I got 2nd place again. And that was the reason why I was able to go on to the area contest speech. Then from the area contest speech, I had a horrible weekend. I had to do a Red Cross training. It was very, very stressful. I don't even want to tell you all the things that happened that weekend, but I made it to the contest just in time. There were fireworks going on, tons of noise. I forgot a whole paragraph of my speech. A paragraph.
Wow.
I was so upset and embarrassed. I left the contest before they even shared who won. Literally, I left. True story. I left, and someone called me and said, Diana, where are you? And I said, oh, I'm back in Taichung. What is it? I'm so upset right now. I'm depressed. I want to eat cookies and cake and drink alcohol and leave me alone. And they said, where are you? You're deeming. Area contest, I got deeming. Yeah. And I left because I was so embarrassed about how I did. And then by the Division 11 contest, I won. I got 1st place. I was more comfortable. I got 1st place. And then district, I also won. So in the beginning, when I started out, it was literally just luck, giving it a shot, You know, I kept forgetting my lines. Yeah, I had to memorize it because I couldn't have a paper on, you know, 面子. I didn't want to have a paper in front of everybody reading it because that also would have distracted from my gestures. So I just spoke very, very slowly to make sure my tones and my pronunciation was all right. So I share that story, and it's so important because people think that I had this seamless contest experience. I didn't. There were a lot of amazing luck that happened to me to get me to the district level.
Wow. And we have a question here from Doris about how much time did you spend from the beginning, your very first draft script, to the final masterpiece?
Okay. I actually did start the script before we went to Vancouver. So the very end of August was the very first script until November. Third week of November, I believe, was the district contest. So the very end of August to November, the middle or end of November.
Okay. And was that a stressful experience for you, or you kind of enjoyed it, having fun doing the Chinese speech?
Really, the Chinese speech was so much easier than the English speech competition. Like I said, because it was everybody's native language, the input they gave me was so spot on and easy to implement. It helped the revision process go so much smoother and faster, you know, whereas with English, I'm a native speaker. I'm picky about how I want things said. I take other people's input. It may not necessarily be what I think should be in there. It was very disjointed when I was in English speech competitions, getting and receiving feedback. But for whatever reason, I think because I knew what needed to be in a successful speech script, whether it was English or Chinese, to make things funny, to make a story interesting. I had all that. And then the language part that they were able to add in the cultural context, I was able to just marry it in, just stick it in so well. And it was effortless almost. So in a lot of ways, it was the Chinese speech. I didn't practice or revise anywhere near like I did the English ones, which is amazing, right? But
yeah.
The feedback I got was just so incredible at all the clubs.
Wow, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You are my inspiration. So Doris asked, when are you going to have your next masterpiece? Are you going to compete again?
No, I'm retired.
Oh no, what?
I'm retired. I actually, you know, I'm not just a 2-time champion. I also won tabletopist and evaluation. And it took me many times before I won the English speech competition. You know, I competed a couple of times before I won. So it's an exhausting experience. Competing is not easy, whether it's in English or Chinese. It's exhausting. And once you feel like you've completed a journey, I've learned in my age, in my 46 years on this earth, that I embrace it now, and I'm interested in moving on to the next aspect, which I've been doing, which is doing work in the US and consulting and speaking for US companies and things like that.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Great. So it's a great stepping stone, step by step.
Yes. Toastmasters gave me my first big step, my complete foundation, and I have to thank Toastmasters for that.
Okay, and we have a question from Yunling, but just before I ask you that question, now, of course, you know, now is the contest season for the speech, or whether it's the English international speech or the non-English speech contest. Mm-hmm. And just thinking back to the previous several international world champions, right? They've all been humorous speeches, but with very strong messages. And like the most recent champion, he had a lot, like 20-something laughs in his, somebody counted 20-something laughs in his speech. And the second place winner was the complete opposite kind of speech. It was, I think it was Linda. Linda was the champion. And her speech was a very touching speech with a very strong moral message. So it seems like you either, to win the contest, you either have to touch people with humor, get your message across with humor, or really touch people's heart with something very touching. Is that right? If it's something, if it's not those, then could it just be boring? What do you think?
Simone, my opinion for people and what will work for a contest weighs heavily on whether it's going to be a Zoom contest or live in person.
Okay.
I mean, you cannot listen to my suggestions if this is going to be a Zoom speech contest, because that is something I have zero experience. And what I did see, I'm not sure if our judging criteria matches Zoom contests. I just honestly don't. That may be something that's a little controversial, but I'm throwing it out there because, things change. I think that there should be one criteria for Zoom contests and another criteria if it's live and in person. That's my very, very personal opinion about that. Now, if it is live and in person, there's another caveat. Now that we don't have huge humorous speeches anymore, I do believe that judges miss it. I've been a judge many times and I miss it. I miss that we don't have a fall humorous speech contest season. Like now all we have are just one contest in the spring. So if I listen to a speech and there isn't any humor, I do feel like there's something missing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think that. Yeah.
Where I wouldn't have thought that before, but I do now. No, not before, but now I do. So I would suggest that you have humor in it. It doesn't mean it needs to be a humorous speech, because remember the judging criteria, that value still needs to be there and it's important. Don't miss it, please.
Okay. And so I have two questions. We don't have much time, so we'll perhaps just touch on it a little bit. From Yuning, she asked, do you speak in different ways when you speak in English and Chinese?
Yeah.
And can we take advantage of the differences? Okay, so that's the question.
I do think I'm funnier in Chinese than I am in English, but I've been working on being funnier in English lately. It's been getting easier for me to be funny in English, but in the beginning, it was only easy for me to be funny in Chinese, because I could use my bad Chinese to make jokes or say different stupid things, and everyone just would get a big kick out of it. It's like, oh my goodness, this foreigner, horrible Chinese. It's so funny. And I learned to just be funny with it, to just kind of use it to break the ice when I meet new people and practice my skills. Once again, it was something humiliating that I had to shift and turn into something that was comedic. So then it was, it still encouraged me to keep talking and practicing my Chinese. And I would suggest everyone do that, even if you feel as though your English skills are not where you want them to be at this point. Make it into something funny. Still get out there and practice and give those speeches and talk to people, because you're never going to get better if you don't get out there and talk and practice your speeches. So yes.
Yeah, bingo. Yeah. Okay, last question. This one kind of difficult question, but I need you to try and answer it in 1 minute, 60 seconds. This is from Carol. I think this is from Elite Toastmaster Carol. She says, is it necessary to add humor into a contest speech? So I guess we've kind of talked.
We've talked about it.
But she says, I am a person that lacks a sense of humor. It feels tough. Is it really necessary? How do you get the idea to be humorous?
Hi, Carol. Long time no see. Yes, I would say that you still need to have humor in your speech. You should push yourself. I understand. I didn't like humor either. And I pushed myself and I became a humorous champion. Trust me, anybody who knows me will tell you I was a very serious speaker. I had a 30-second pause where it was intense and brought people to tears in my 2015 winning speech. And I totally pivoted to humorous. So you can do it. Trust me. Stretch yourself, push yourself. Even if you start off with just one joke in your speech. Try in your practice speeches in clubs and then just keep going with add more and more jokes into your speeches.
Okay, thank you. That's wonderful. And okay, feedback from Yunling, an enlightening answer. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think this whole session has been very enlightening. I've learned a lot, and hopefully our audience also has enjoyed it and picked up different tips. Some tips, you cannot just learn by watching the speech yourself or reading it somewhere. It's really through these kinds of in-depth conversations. You just pick up these golden nuggets, from you. So thank you so much. And now, Peter, could we show the certificate of appreciation for Diana? Okay, so if you can pose, Diana will take a screenshot. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay, so I think that's okay. All right, and then Peter, next slide, please. Okay, and just a quick advertisement for everybody. If you haven't joined the District Pathways Q&A FB group, join it, because if you ask a question, you'll be amazed how quickly people will answer. Nowadays, there are so many people who have developed good expertise in pathways. So people are eager to answer your questions. So ask your questions freely. Okay, next. Okay, so Peter, next slide. Peter? Okay, all right. Little hiccup there. But okay, just very quickly now, we have a feedback link for tonight's event. And if anybody has any suggestions, or you just like to tell us you enjoyed the event, then please fill in this. I'm putting the link now into the chat box. Okay, we always appreciate feedback, because we aim to create these good quality events for the benefit of members. Okay, so okay, that's it for tonight. And 9:01. Okay, 1 minute over. Damn. Okay. Thanks very much, Diana, and thanks to everyone who joined.
Thank you.
And thanks so much. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.